Well, Senator Booker and I are both concerned about our nation's resources, and that absolutely includes our national parks.
But that's not all we have in common. In fact, our real passion is
Polynesian folk music. We're called Across the Aisle.
Did you get that? Aisle?
Bipartisanship seems to be out of style on Capitol Hill these days. That means fewer senators willing to compromise and are more partisan, leaving little room for negotiation. Bipartisanship doesn't always pay off politically, and lawmakers tend to stick to their voter base, almost like being labeled with the B word is a bad thing. But bipartisanship is a longtime tradition on Capitol Hill that helps members wield influence. Former President George W. Bush and former First Lady Michelle Obama have shared several heartwarming moments. The pair are often seated next to each other at events.
He is my partner in crime at every major thing where all the formers gather. So we're together all the time, and I love him to death. He's a wonderful man. He's a funny man.
Bush credits Obama's appreciation for his sense of humor as a key reason for their friendship. The two may differ on political issues, but are united on many causes which include veteran needs and children education and leadership programs.
That's what's so weird about society today, that
Well,
people on opposite sides of the political spectrum could actually like each other.
but are you that close? You're closer to her than Barack.
Well, let's put it this way, he's never given me a hug that way.
Yeah.
Representative Mark Meadows and Representative Elijah E. Cummings forged a relationship over several whistleblower and postal reform bills the two worked on together. They have also grown close during their time on the Oversight Committee.
You're one of my best friends. I know that shocks a lot of people.
And likewise, Mr. Chairman.
But you are.
Meadows is a close Trump ally in Congress. Service in the Vietnam War and being elected to the U.S. Senate forged a relationship between former Senators John Kerry and John McCain. The two worked together on Vietnam veteran issues.
When we first came to the Senate, everybody did that. You stepped across the aisle because that's how you got things done in the United States Senate. And it was not polarized the way it is today. So people found partners. And obviously, in bipartisanship, you needed to have partners on the other side of the aisle to make things work.
At one point, their friendship was derailed by feuds over the Iraq War and their unfulfilled presidential ambitions. The late John McCain said their renewed partnership was driven by the decision to, quote, move on, not quite forgive, but definitely trying to forget.
Once asked how we could be friends given our disagreement on lots of things, Justice Scalia answered, I attack ideas. I don't attack people. Some very good people have some very bad ideas.
Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the late Justice Antonin Scalia had what some may consider the most famous odd couple friendship. The two had vastly different views on the Constitution and the role of the court. Their friendship began in the 1980s. They both shared a love of opera and came from the outer boroughs of New York City. Scalia and RBG were also contemporaries as law professors and served together on the United States Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit. Representative Steve Scalise and Representative Cedric L. Richmond are political polar opposites, but old friends from the Louisiana legislature. Richmond was one of the first lawmakers who tried to visit Representative Steve Scalise in the hospital after he was shot at a Republican baseball practice in 2017. When former President Ronald Reagan survived an assassination attempt in 1981, House Speaker Tip O'Neill went to the hospital to visit the president and pray at his bedside. After O'Neill's death, Reagan headlined fundraisers to raise the money to build the O'Neill Library at Boston College, O'Neill's alma mater. Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Dingell and Republican Congresswoman Barbara Comstock reportedly met over bipartisan lunches over 2 decades ago. The two bonded over their shared goal to help women. They were part of a bipartisan group of senators that introduced a bill requiring members and staff on Capitol Hill to undergo training to prevent sexual misconduct.
All right, let's do something. Hey, it's Wesley Lowery of the Washington Post here. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get all of our latest reporting, analysis, and stay up to date on what's going on in the world around you.
Have you read all those books?
No, not even close.